Hi, welcome to the BRICKFILMER'S Guild podcast, hosted by us, the Four Monkeys. On this podcast, we had the extreme pleasure of chatting with the Frame100 Podcast team, both past and present team members. I want to give an extra quick shout out to our wonderful Patreon supporters: Spuggistu, Frame5 Studios, Mind Game Studios, Dark Dragon Films, Forest Fire 101, Spencer Katz, Paganimation, William Osborne, and Sam Futhi. We can't thank you enough for supporting our podcasts. This podcast is sponsored by FX Home, the makers of HitFilm Pro, HitFilm Express, Emerge Pro, and more. HitFilm Express is a free video editing software with professional-grade VFX tools. It's a perfect fit for the average BRICKFILMER'S budget. HitFilm Pro is the top choice for video artists worldwide. In a single product, you get editing, compositing, titling, and 3D tools. HitFilm Pro is loaded with tons of professional features. Emerge Pro is a photo editing software that is powerful, easy to use, and a great replacement for what you're using now. Please head over to FX Home to find one of their products that will help you bring your brick films to life. If you would like to help support our podcast, you can do so by becoming a Patreon supporter. Get podcasts at least a week or two before anyone else, and other perks only available to our Patreon supporters. So, without further ado, here's our conversation with Austin, Matt, Chris, Jared, Sam, Trevor, Marcus, and a special surprise appearance from Tom. So this morning we have the entire crew, minus one, miss you Tom, of the Frame100 Podcast.
Both the old ones and the new ones.
So thank you guys for joining us this morning. It's early, we're tired, but this is going to be fun, and we're excited to have you guys on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And thanks for organizing this crossover. It's been a long time coming for us all.
Yeah, this is our largest call yet, and so far so good with the technology.
Yeah, this is definitely by far, and I'm sure we'll never top having this many people on a podcast, so this should be interesting and fun and a wild ride.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's get a hello from I believe, Austin, you created the Frame100 podcast several years ago. You want to say hello?
I did. Yeah, hi.
Hey, what's your channel? And tell us a little quick hello from you.
Hey guys, my channel is Frame5 Studios, and as you said, I did create the Frame100 Podcast back in 2017. Kind of like I would say co-founded it with SCORCH Bricks, and then I'm pretty sure Matt came on the week later, like after our pilot episode 2. Yeah, episode 2, we brought in Matt. But hey guys, it's been a long time coming. Glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. How about you, Matt?
Hey guys, so I'm Matt. Bricktail Studios is my YouTube channel, and I've got Instagram too. I'm a little bit more active there these days. Everybody seems to know me nowadays for the brick film I created, which was Lego Star Wars Republic at War 0 Hour, which was a Republic Commando brick film. So may have heard of me, maybe not.
I'm sure everybody has. And if not, they certainly will.
And we'll dive into that one a little bit later. How about we move on to Chris? Can you tell us about you?
Well, hi, I'm Chris from Gold Brick Productions. I've just kind of been around and about in the community. If you have Discord, I probably pinged you at some point. I'm known for a lot of Ninjago brick film stuff, and also for just creating things that make people question why they subscribed.
Yeah.
It's kind of my MO.
All right. Hello, Jared. How's it going?
Hello, I'm great. My name is Jared. My YouTube channel is Dude Brick. I'm 23 years old. I'm engaged, and I love long walks on the beach.
Woo-hoo.
Nice.
This is a podcast, not Tinder, Jared.
It's all good. Getting to know
Don't be knocking Tinder.
Okay, Trevor.
I'm Trevor. You could find me at Suited Ninja Nerd Studios on YouTube. I make a lot of comedy films, a lot of action stuff. I kind of just do whatever I set my heart to doing at a certain time. I guess right now I'm currently most known for an unreleased film that I've been working on for about a year and a half now.
Yes.
A horror film that will hopefully be getting released at some point soon.
Cool.
This year, huh?
Hopefully.
Woohoo, 2020 year
I
of the
don't
Brick
know.
film.
We'll see.
2020 year of the
I am
horrors,
promising
though.
literally nothing.
Cool. How about you, Sam?
Hi, my name is Sam. I also like long walks on the beach. My YouTube channel is Locker74 Productions. I'm most well known for Ace Brickman, which actually Austin discovered me. So
You're welcome. You're
cool.
welcome.
All right. Hey, Marcus.
Hello there. I am Marcus. My YouTube channel is called BrickCat Studios. I do not like the beaches because I can't swim, but I like the sand part of the beach.
you monster.
I guess I am well known for this sort of like live action sort of brick film thing. If Lego minifigures were self-aware.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I like it when real life and brick films come together. I think it's a really cool effect. I enjoy them.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to try one more here, so take a listen, see how this sounds.
Hi chaps, sorry I couldn't make it with you there today, but really excited to listen to this podcast when it comes out, and I hope you all have a really fun, enjoyable time recording.
My boy, the legend Tom.
Cool.
In
Love
spirit
my
across
heart.
the pond.
I miss him.
Yeah, so we
That
couldn't
made my
get him
day.
here. Couldn't get him live, but we got him
We had a little chat with him the other day, and
because we wanted to include him.
we did a little mini 30-minute chat with him and got a few sound bites from him.
Good,
cool.
good.
You know,
That's
I
awesome.
gotta say, on a scale of 1 to Tom, that was Johnson.
It's Johnson.
That wasn't Johnson.
Too much.
And do any of you guys are any of you roommates, or are you all separate?
In spirit, we're roommates.
Okay, because I don't know why I thought two of you were rooming together. I guess you just
Well,
you're
No.
Do any of y'all live kind of near each other? I think we've got some folks in the Northwest and in the...
I know that Marcus and Marcus is about an hour and a half away from me. So I know, when was it? The last time I saw him would have been in January. Right before my winter break was up, I went out and visited him. So we hung out for a day, but that hasn't happened since then. So
Okay. Y'all
And
kind
then,
of on the central East Coast, yeah?
Yeah, I think most of us are like East and then like West Coast. So Trev and Marcus, they live about 2 hours south of me.
yeah.
Actually, real quick, Trev has been within a half hour of me like 3 times in the last year and has not bothered to say hi. I've promptly roasted him for doing so.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
at least you guys are
crazy.
pretty close though, and you do get to meet up, which is cool and fun.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Well, if we can kind of go into this real briefly, and the creation of the Frame100 podcast, and then its transition to the new podcast, and then I guess it's a reboot because you've gone back to season 1 now. So this is probably a combination Austin-Chris conversation.
Yeah, kind of. I'll start a little bit. So, first of all, I say this all the time whenever I talk to Chris, but he has done such a great job, and everyone else who's now involved with the current show, they've done an amazing job of keeping the show alive, bringing in new people, and really like fulfilling the original vision that I had for the show, which was really to bring everyone together. Due to just real life stuff, I decided to step away and give the podcast to Chris. And you guys, those of you who know me pretty well, I could be a little narcissistic, and I was like, I really don't want to give the podcast to Chris because then it's not mine, and I'm not going to be known for it. But Trev, Sam, and Jared have blown me away with what they have done with it. So it definitely would not be the show it is today, and have the current community without them. I'm very, very happy and honored to have created something that has essentially lived beyond me and my super involvement in the show. But I'm always excited. I always tune into the episodes. I don't always comment or something, but I don't miss an episode. It's really fun to see how it's evolved.
That's cool, Austin. And really, really nice to hear that. That is very sweet of you, very mature, and I love that. That's nice.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate the work you've done, Austin, Matt, and Tom. Hopefully you're listening. I think it was fun seeing the many different aspects of the community come together for the cast, different backgrounds and filming styles, communities, etc. I feel like we're really starting to find our stride though with these new episodes. Like the live events were certainly a lot of fun, but we have a ton of fun kind of coordinating both live and pre-recorded. And of course, we're still doing events for THAC or awards ceremonies or whatnot, which are a ton of fun. I do want to point out Sam here. Sam's kind of hiding in the back, but I need to make this clear. What? Sam is the one who has gone above and beyond with getting our audio on track. So we were kind of in this kind of pre-planning abyss for a while where we were trying to figure out how we wanted to reboot the show in a sense, kind of start off on a new foot. It took almost a year because we recorded a couple demo episodes and we felt like we just weren't quite there yet. And one day Sam's just like, all right, we're recording. I'm editing the audio. Chris, you go find some looping background picture video thing. We're going to make this work. So I just really want to highlight Sam for, making us all get up off our butts and make this actually happen a year into wondering how in the world we're going to make the show work.
In the words of Randy from Bob and Randy, it was time for some upgrades.
Do you find it easier doing a recorded show instead of the live one?
I think so, yeah. I mean, live shows are definitely fun for certain events in real time, but the recording gives us a lot more time to fine-tune it. We can cut out stuff if we don't want. Someone accidentally says something they don't want to say, then we added the Dragon Frame delete sound as a censor. At least we're trying to. Nobody's gotten to that point yet.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, I know the one thing I like about recording it ahead of time is we can kind of talk a little bit more in depth about okay, what do we want to talk about in this cast, or where do we at least want to start, and then we can kind of let stuff snowball from there. We're not having to focus on what we're talking about and a chat that's going on at the same time and making sure we're live and that everybody's internet is okay and yada, 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 all these extra aspects that come with having to stream it live.
Sure. You have a hard time getting your days and times together for all of you to attend?
Yeah, I mean, especially in these times during the pandemic, it's kind of hard to remember what day it is and what time things start. It's just much easier for us to schedule a day on a Monday or a Tuesday and schedule out, hour and a half just to record a session. But on when we used to do it, it was always 10, 11, I don't remember what time we did. I think it was 2 o'clock maybe. It was 2 o'clock on 2 or 3 on a Saturday. And, we're busy people. So it kind of setting out a whole block of an hour and a half or 2 hours on a Saturday is kind of difficult for us. But so it just made it a lot easier for us to schedule out a certain amount of time early in the week and just get it all done.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you envision doing some live podcasts still, just based on events and things?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The THAC podcast, I think at this point is kind of a tradition. We'd like to do some more. I could see scenarios in which at conventions we do a live show, which could be a ton of fun. Maybe a live show and a recorded show.
I'd love that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess it would really depend on the event and how fun it would be to incorporate the real-time aspect of it.
Cool.
I want to sidetrack here since Jared brought it up, but with all of us living in the twilight zone now, how are you guys all coping and handling the COVID-19 situation?
I mean, for me personally, it hasn't changed that much. I still go into work. I mean, I'm in a small enough town; it hasn't really affected us that bad. So, it's just a normal day.
Yeah, I would have to add on to Sam. It's pretty much I'm next to you guys. I'm in Alabama. It's kind of, I wouldn't say normal, but it seems like it's normal except wearing a mask. So right now it's just going into work, going out of work, and then coming home and watching TV or animating or whatever. So it's pretty much an average day for me.
I think I see a little bit of a scale forming here. I think I'm the next step up. It's pretty quiet here in Montana. We haven't had too many problems, but they've definitely had some security and safety procedures for the lab I work at. So we're starting to feel it a little bit in terms of it affecting our everyday routine.
So, I'm from Chicago, and everybody who's heard me talk about it knows I'm not a huge fan of living here. I got all kinds of gripes. But, I will say that, the city's done a good job of, keeping cases to, pretty good minimum. So it hasn't been too bad around here. State's already in phase 4 right now, so everything's pretty opened up. So life is relatively normal. I mean, especially for me, I work as a landscaper, so I work outside pretty much away from people as it is. So I actually never stopped working. So yeah, just beyond that, remote learning and whatnot, it's been totally fine for me. I don't struggle with online classes or anything. Actually, in the fall, I signed myself up for a bunch of classes, which normally, if they were held in person, would have like an extra 3-hour lab portion at like some random time on a Thursday. But those got completely, removed from that curriculum. So the class is now even easier. So
Nice.
I kind of predicted that, and I was right. So not too bad.
Life for me is pretty good up here in Pennsylvania. Like we're in, or my town, like we're in phase 4. We're pretty good, but we might be regressing just because how fast everything opened. Like all the gyms opened up like 2 weeks ago. So like I go to work and I go there, and ever since then they've been like, okay, we might be shutting back down again because everyone's like getting stuff going on. But I actually am a little bit interested to know. Jared, are you getting married next year?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're both engaged to different people, not to each other.
I mean,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
News to me.
Yeah,
depends on the weekend. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, other than that, like it hasn't bothered me so much. Like especially with, like wedding planning being next year. Like Chris said, like masks, like into work, out of work. I work in retail, so I work with a lot of people every day. So that's every day is always fun. But other than that, relatively things are relatively good.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I know on my end. So when this all started, I was I was at the time attending my first year of film school. So I was out of college, and we were let on spring break. And before spring break happened, I had heard rumblings of this beer brand virus that might be hitting the U.S. at some point soon. And I was like, okay, whatever. Boy, was I wrong. So we had a week of spring break, and then at the end of that week, they said, you guys are getting another week of spring break. And then in the middle of that week, they were like, yep, you're staying home. So, we had online classes to do to round out that spring semester, which was not fun. I go from doing everything hands-on to now having to do everything online, having to like stream films all the time. And it was just, it felt very far removed from everything I was actually doing at school. But since then, for like about a month or so, I kind of was just hanging out, working on some animation stuff, just trying to enjoy my summer stuck indoors. But now I'm actually back working at this old sign shop that I was working at last year. And just this week, we actually had a couple people who might have come in contact with the virus that I work with. So we've been having to wear masks now. So 8-hour days with a mask on is fun. But I'm getting by.
Good. Well, better to be safe than sorry, that's for sure.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's why. And I know, I live in a smaller-ish town. It's a lot more rural than like where Marcus is, because he's like an hour and a half away. So.
Cool.
Well, with us. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll say if you don't stay safe, Trev, then we'll never see A Deal to Die For.
It's been a year, man.
Well, with us being in Atlanta, we're opposite from you guys because it is far from safe here.
Oh yeah, I've got a friend who lives in he lives just outside of Atlanta, so it's from what I've heard from him, it's been a total mess there.
Yep, I'd even say that's an understatement. So we just stay. We've been self-secluded since beginning of March, and no plans of leaving the house anytime soon. It's just not safe. The kids are going to do digital learning for school, and
that's good.
Just got to keep our fingers crossed that things get better and safer. We're doing our part anyway. That's all we can do, right?
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Stay out of the hospital.
If doing your part means staying at home.
Definitely.
It's not too much of a high call.
Yeah, and
pretty easy.
We're kind of homebodies anyway, so when we've got 5 animals and...
This has been my best year of brick filming, probably, personal brick filming. I made a lot of stuff between 2014 and 16 for Oyo, but this year I think I've made more personal stuff than any year ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And getting healthy, you got to get some good out of this. With all the bad that's come out of it, you have to make the effort to make things better. So we're eating healthy, we're exercising, so we're probably healthier than we've been in a long time, and got to get whatever positive, well, not that kind of positive, but get good out of this.
You got to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, I love lemons.
Oh, that's fantastic. I know we had an episode where we talked about just. Okay, we're all stuck indoors. What do we do? How do we make the best of the time that we have? And it sounds like you guys are certainly getting there.
Definitely.
Well, what am I saying? You're already there.
And I think I've even picked up a work at home job, so things are starting. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Things are looking good here.
Ooh. All the best there.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So
did anybody else have anything to say here, like Marcus or?
Yeah. Marcus talk, because like I said, I'm in like a more rural part of Virginia, and Marcus is definitely in more of an urban.
Yeah, I'm like next to the city. So for me, I've just really been enjoying life. I've been taking the time to build like my backlog of Lego sets.
Yeah, I've heard from the Frame 100
buildings.
Yeah, the Frame 100 show says you got a lot in boxes.
Yeah, and I can kind of relate to what Matt said earlier about like not having that random like 3-hour lab, because like as a film student I had to do like a recitation for like one of my cinematography class, but then that got immediately canceled, so that's pretty cool. But so far everything's going okay for me, and I'm hoping to keep it that way.
Good, definitely.
Cool. All right, well let's dive into the brick filming a little bit here. Let's go start off with we'll be asking how'd you get into brick filming. We'll start with Austin. How long you been doing it, and how'd you get into it?
So I have been doing brick film since 2008. And then I think I joined YouTube September 6th, 2009.
Wow.
My parents got me a camera and like this like stop motion kit. I may even still have it like in a box somewhere, but they're like, we need you to like channel your energy somewhere, positive. Try this. I was like, oh, okay. And essentially the rest is history. I found the first like video I ever watched on YouTube was one of Forest Fire's Batman films, and I was like, oh, okay, I could definitely do this kind of thing, and it really just took off. I haven't found like a more fulfilling hobby than just building a set and animating it and creating a story. I'm a very story-driven person, as my recent films, like would show. Like, since I do a lot of Star Wars, you'd think it'd be a lot of laser gunfire and all that, but it's really just a lot of dialogue and intense story. So like that's the kind of thing that I live for. But yeah, been doing it since 2008. Haven't done as much in the last 4 or 5 years, but hopefully I'll have this 501st Legion film out in a couple months with the help of Matt. But yeah,
awesome. That's great. Let's move over to Matt.
All right, so I actually got my start on YouTube with stop motion in June of 2009. However, before that, I was kind of, making stop motions on my own. Gosh, I can't remember when exactly I got started. I know I took this class at my local park district and just kind of fell in love with it at one point. But yeah, basically, I feel like I've always been seen sort of as, I guess, the Michael Bay of the brick filming community, because everything I make is very heavy on action and pretty light on plot. But that's just the way I like it. I've always been, a fan of the visual and just doing cool stuff, with animation specifically, because I feel like, all right, anybody can animate a walk cycle, dialogue sequences, I could do them, but they're not really for me. I just like blowing stuff up on camera, frankly, and that's a lot of what you see, and that seems to be a lot of the draw. Cool. Again, it's funny because I don't upload quite like I used to, but that brick film I mentioned earlier in the show, Lego Star Wars Republic at War 0 Hour, it breaks all the rules of YouTube. Like, that film should not still be getting views, but it's up to 750,000 at this point, and my channel is still growing steadily. Like, a friend of mine, Matt F from the Brick Wiz, his channel was at one point, like, he was doing daily uploads, and we were growing at about the same pace. It's just this one video that keeps me going. So I can't thank you guys enough for the support on that. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Like 4/5 of 1 million.
It's getting there. It's like 845,000 last I checked a couple days ago.
That's well over
exciting,
3/4.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and other than that, I would say, like, the other thing I'm pretty known for is CGI. I could never quite live up to the legacy of the legendary Gareth Pugh Spuggastu. He was the guy who really inspired me to get started with CGI. I took up Blender, and it's funny because that actually led me to my current career path as a computer programmer, because I started doing Lego CGI with Blender, and Blender actually happened to have a game engine feature that was built in this, and I'm like, wait, what? You're telling me that I can make video games with this thing? And then so that started me down this road where I started learning how to program, and then decided that's what I wanted to do instead of animation, because I do feel like, to some extent, it's sometimes good not to mix work with hobbies. I think you enjoy the hobby more when it's just a passion project.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Dave can relate to that big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the gist of me.
Cool. How about you, Jared?
Oh, wow. So I would say I've been brick filming since about 2009, 2010. Very similar to everyone else probably here. And I've been kind of moving channels ever since, about that time. But I would think my main inspiration was probably Gareth Pugh and Spuggastu, watching Squad 42 all those years ago, and being a huge Star Wars fan. So it was just two wonderful things that just collided in my mind. So I think that kind of set me on the path of, I want to get better at this and keep doing it. And then, I've grown to where I am today, and I don't know if I'm going to continue in the future, but we'll see where that holds. But yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm quite excited about how far my skills have come and how many friends I've made, and it's been just a wonderful thing just to happen to me in my life. And I love making films, whether that's live action or animated, and it's really helped improve my filmmaking, I guess, skills is the way of putting it. So brick filming it's been a great thing, and it's been awesome. I love it very much.
Excellent.
Cool.
How about you, Trevor?
Yeah, I guess my first ever exposure to stop motion, like I think I was like 11 at the time. I was like searching around the internet. I found some website that was like talking all about stop motion. Looked into it. I was like, hey, this is pretty neat. And as I kind of kept looking at the website further, I found some videos at the bottom of the page, or the stop motion page I was looking at, and from there, I found that there were some Lego stop motion films, and I was like, well, I've got all this Lego lying around that I'm building stuff with all the time, but like, why? Like, seeing that I can actually make this stuff move is really neat. So from there, I was really determined to want to get into it. I took a summer camp that I did with a friend where I made my first ever film and had a lot of fun doing that. And as the years went by, it took me about 3 years to save up enough money to get a bunch of the equipment that I had used for a number of years. And so in 2016, that's when I uploaded my first YouTube video. And ever since, I've just kind of been doing my thing and trying to make new stuff whenever I can.
Excellent. Awesome. Excellent. How about you, Sam?
So I actually started animating in about 2008, but I didn't start animating Legos. I started animating action figures because I was bored one night. And my parents were pretty supportive of it. And actually, I bought my camera from my dad, his old camera. And as the years went on, I decided I could do Lego. And then I just ended up here. I mean, it's something that's always piqued my interest. It's pretty boring for me. But, I mean, it's just something I've liked doing, and I know how to explain why.
Cool. How about you? How about you, Marcus?
I think I started around the same time everybody did, like around 2010, 2011. I got first started when I was just on YouTube, just searching up Legend of Zelda gameplay and all that, and then I was really into Lego at the time, and then I'm like, oh, what if I just combined the two search terms together? And then I found this cool stop motion animation, and then I'm like, whoa, this is really cool, I want to do this. And after that, I've been trying to do as much as I can. I've been on and off, and yeah.
Cool. Hey, let's see what Tom has to say.
Yeah, what about you, Tom?
The first brick film I made must have been about 2008.
Mm-hmm.
It was, when the Clone Wars came out. I think it was quite big then, brick films, and I just sort of found a camera around the house, and I just started clicking away.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
All right.
Oh.
There we go. Are any of you guys in film school, and do you envision a career in film, or is this more hobby? I'll let you guys figure out who wants to talk here.
So, all growing up, I think it's since I was 10 years old, I was like, okay, I'm going to go into, film school, I'm going to go work at an animation studio, and that's where my life goes. And it was on that path, pretty closely until I think 5 years ago, maybe. I had just ended up deciding to do other things, stay in my town with the family for some other things. But I did at one point consider it, okay, we'll make an actual career out of this. And then when I really started to, I don't know if I can attribute it to just the way YouTube culture is, because when you're trying to get noticed, you're making a lot of videos, you're constantly posting, doing stuff. I during that time realized, okay, maybe I don't want to take this thing that I loved so much and rely on it as a source of income. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with people who do that, because I really feel if you love it enough, even if you're making money or if it's a job, you'll find a way to enjoy it. But for me, I was I want to keep this something that when I don't want to go to my day job, I can come home and I can turn on some lights and edit some walk cycles. I think it was Matt who said that anyone can animate a walk cycle. Not true.
But still on about the walk cycles, I see.
Yeah, still on about that, I see.
But no, I think if I think this is common for most people, if life would have gone differently, yes, I would definitely have taken the animator route, because I really wanted to go work at Pixar, and I really wanted to go work for the Blender company behind that awesome program. I really wanted to go there. But I ended up choosing a different path, but maybe somewhere else down the line.
So that's the thing I find interesting about this group. If I recall correctly, and correct me where I'm wrong, of us 7 Frame100 members, 4 of us are in film school or went to film school, and 3 of us haven't. I know for me personally, I just started animation just for fun. It was kind of on and off, but I used it as a way to supplement. I'm currently working in electrical engineering, and I use brick filming as just kind of my release, my stress therapy or whatever. Because when you're staring at circuit boards all day, the last thing you want to do when you go home is stare at more circuit boards. True. But I think one thing I find very great about, well, particularly Jared and Sam, because they're currently working on films, is how they're able to still animate and be in a film-related job and manage to balance, doing sort of the same thing but in two capacities. Honestly, I kind of envy that.
Yeah, that's really cool. One thing, not only is the brick filming community just such a one big family, but you guys have gone even further and formed like a real friendship, brotherhood, and got this thing going, and it's really neat to see, and it's fun to hear how you guys all get along, and we kind of envy that.
Does anyone else? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I know, for me, I've met all these guys in person, except Jared.
Never gonna happen.
2021, Jared, be there. I will drag you over.
Exactly. But yeah, I remember going to Brick Fair a couple years ago, and meeting Austin and Matt for the first time. That was where I really thought that kind of doing this brick filming thing and realizing that the people I've met through it really paid off. Because I had a hard time in high school. There weren't a whole lot of people who I was able to get in good touch with because of my interests. Because brick filming is still a fairly niche thing. But being able to realize I could actually meet people that were into the exact same thing as me, that's been such an important part of my life, was really, really cool. And so I thank these guys for that every day, because they're awesome.
Aw, so sweet.
Thank you.
You guys are all awesome.
There's one thing that I really do appreciate about, the brick filming community in general, but specifically, this all y'all's. We don't always see eye to eye on certain aspects when it comes to, our art or our brick filming or whatever. And one thing I appreciate is that we're constantly pushing each other. I'm thinking a little bit Trev here, but also sometimes Jared. Sometimes if we're working on a project, something just doesn't work. And I'm going to pick on Trev for a little bit here. Trev will just straight up tell us, hey, it doesn't work, try this. And I think we've all done that to some point where we're constantly trying to build each other up, we're sharpening each other. And there are times where we just flat out disagree on something and we got to take a quick little breather. But what I love is that we have enough disagreements that it doesn't shatter the friendship at all. We trust each other, we care about each other, we're constantly pushing each other. I think that's something I really love about not just this group of people here, but the brick filming community in general. We're constantly pushing each other to new heights.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're kind of like a family. This is very cheesy. This is very romantic comedy Hallmark, dialogue right here.
Go for it.
But we're we're like a little small family. We have disagreements at times, but we get over it and we move on, and we still support each other's projects no matter what. I mean, this whole group, there is probably everyone here, probably except me and Chris, have these big anticipated projects. And we always joke and make a meme out of them. It's where's 0 Hour? Where's Theta Squad? Where's A Deal to Die For? Where's Ace Brickman? Where's Bob and Randy? I don't know. But it turns into a meme, and that gets, hype for the projects, and it motivates each animator to their highest level. And except you, Trev. Yeah,
except for Trev. I do want to
self-appreciation.
I want to put in this little nugget of history for those people. When we talked about this whole family atmosphere. So me and Matt met in, I believe, 2009 or early 2010. We were best friends for 5 years. He went off to college.
Yeah, we go back.
Yeah, I still animated. But he went off to college, and then after 10 or 9 years of strictly online friendship, I got to meet him for the first time 2 years ago, and I remember sitting with my dad driving to Brick Fair. I was like, Dad, I'm gonna meet literally one of my best friends online that I met 10 years ago. He's like, you're weird. I'm like, no, dude, this is sick. So getting to meet Matt after 10 years of just like online friendship, and then to Chris's point, all of us, butting heads at some point. Me and Chris would butt heads a lot towards especially in season 2. We butt heads a lot. But at the end of the day, we both were like, hey, I appreciate your work. We cool. Same with me and Matt. But I do want to echo Jared and the whole we're all like one big like happy family. Yes, we don't know where Guns of Cordis is. Will it ever be released? Maybe not.
Oh my God.
It is one of those special things that I wouldn't trade for anything at all. Especially like when I got to meet Trev, because like Trev came on towards like the end of like season 3 for the original show,
something like that. It was one of the Christmas episodes. Yeah. But I remember leading into that, like it was weeks of like me talking with them and being like, hey guys, I really wouldn't want to be on your show. Like I love what you guys are doing. And like that was like once they finally discovered me, it was like. It made me really happy because it made me feel like I had an actual audience. And then when I finally got on, it was like that was the weekend of my birthday and Christmas was coming up and being on the podcast. Like it was so cool. And everything just snowballed from there. So, but side note there.
Yeah. Yep. All right. My tangent's over. Just wanted to bring in that history.
As you can see, it really is the essence of fraternity here. I mean, like. Again, Austin, easily one of my best friends. I can't wait to be there at his wedding next year, and I'm sure he'll be at mine. Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's what makes you guys work. Your friendship, your brotherhood, it's cool. It really comes across, and I'm sure it makes it so much easier for you guys, having a podcast that you just get to help each other, and you always have somebody who's available to talk, So... Mm-hmm. It would be easier for us if we had all that too.
Well, I've really enjoyed their THAC live cast.
Yeah, the live casts are fun.
Those were really great because normally I feel like I'm completely alone animating, but for THAC, I've got you guys jabbering in the background, deleting frames and all that. Yeah, that was a noise I heard.
We did our job then.
But yeah, it was great. It felt like I was in the room with y'all. It was cool.
And I was
That's
sleeping.
As real as it gets.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Honestly, if it weren't for the THAC stream, I probably wouldn't do it. It's fun being in that team atmosphere and having them push me and waiting with Trev because he's always the last to finish.
God, I hate it every time. I don't even know what happens. I'm just slow.
You're insane. I mean, you definitely go to the nth degree. I try to get it all done within 12 to 14 hours.
We'll see if for this next year I can actually like do something and not be the last person. I'm gonna probably eat those words.
Doubt.
Pretty sure when I did THAC 2 years ago,
you did it like 4 hours.
Yeah. My second one done, and then I just hung out and like got food, slept, chilled. But
the thing is, it was actually a decent film too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I seem to remember the getting food part when you were doing your podcast. You always were like getting food, eating Skittles or whatever, and I was just like, oh my God, as a mom, I'm like,
wine.
Stop eating that garbage.
No, I assume, Austin, you're not eating that garbage anymore, right?
I am not. I actually am not.
Because you actually care about what you put into your body.
Yeah, no, my life has changed in the last 3 years with that. But
yeah, no more Skittles.
Yeah, you're like sporting the Bruce Lee physique, right?
Trying.
Try.
I mean, you're still short. But...
Well, so is Bruce Lee, right?
Term is vertically challenged, Trev.
Well, I know that was the funniest thing, like, and this goes for anybody you see online. It's like everybody always looks taller on screen. But when I first showed up to Brick Fair and I was like, with Austin and Matt for the first time, it was like, oh my God, like Austin's short. Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
It's like Matt and I were just towering over him. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's
you and Matt are tall, right?
No, I am probably
5'9", man. I don't consider myself.
Oh
tiny by
wow!
any means.
I envision you like
taller
6'2".
than you, which is insane because I'm still like 5 years younger than you.
How tall? How tall are you, Trevor?
I'm like just under 6'1", so
Ooh.
I'm
Just
But
under
it's
6'1".
but I'm
you
also
and
it's
Sam are the
funny
same
'cause I'm
height.
shorter than a lot of my friends. So
Oh,
like,
I'm taller than Trev.
Weird.
I don't know by how much, but
no, you're not. We're the same height.
no, I'm taller than you.
I don't remember that.
It's because your hair is super tall.
On Brick Fair 2021.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
we
Brick Fair
will find
2021.
out.
Here's the
Cool.
thing. At the end of the day, we all look up to Sam.
Yo.
I'm not so sure about that.
So
but,
funny.
all right.
I guess that Forrest probably has the corner on that. You know, he's like that larger than life
No.
person, but he's also like really tall. So you'd meet him and you'd be like, oh wow, you really are larger
What
than
about
life.
what was it, Alex Pearson?
Oh, he's really
He's like
tall.
6'10"
oh
or
my
so.
gosh.
I don't know how he animates standing up ever.
Sanity.
He just sits down. He's our height.
All right, so
Yeah,
what we
seriously
did.
though, for anybody listening right now, I just have to say, like, meeting friends like this at a Lego convention is one of the most fun things that you can do. It is really a thrilling experience to be able to meet friends like that, you know, for the first time in real life. You know, Brick Fair Virginia is going to be your big one on the East Coast. Midwest,
Yep.
Brick World Chicago, hands down. And then I think, you know, BrickCon on the West Coast of the U.S., and maybe like Brick Bavaria if you happen to live in Europe.
I wish we did.
Cool.
But yeah, don't skip on those because they are fantastic, and
Yeah.
I am most definitely hurting at the lack of those this year because it's truly that amazing. In fact, I think I've finally settled on it. I'd be lying if I said that, you know, just nostalgia for these past couple trips I've made out there these past 2 years had something to do with it. I think Northern Virginia, that's definitely where I'm moving when I'm done here in Chicago. And it has a lot to do with just, you know, there being friends and, you know, just good people, good atmosphere there.
Cool. Well, don't forget about Atlanta. Atlanta's a great place, and their people are moving here constantly.
I know.
Yeah, never know.
All right, so what we did was we asked you guys what your favorite brick film of your own was. So we are going to go ahead and talk about each one of those. This is where I'm going to minimize the screen and look at the notes here. So we're going to start with Austin, your Lego Star Wars Theta Squad Grey Republic. That was your pick.
yes.
Data Squad.
By far, I don't want to say the most ambitious project because Guns of Quarters right now, with all the things that I filmed, like all the footage, it's sitting at 38 minutes, but it'll never get done. But as far as like story goes, definitely my favorite. I wanted to take, for all of you who've watched the Clone Wars, for those who haven't, like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the TV show, is probably the most, you know, realistic part of Star Wars, in my opinion, that like we've gotten since like Rogue One, right? It really portrayed not just, you know, like, oh, the clones and the Jedi are good and the droids and the Sith are bad. Like, it really started to, you know, wade into some darker territories of like, okay, is the Republic as good as they say? And there might be some truth to, you know, the CIS cause. So I wanted to really kind of expand on that with Theta Squad, and that's why I called it Grey Republic, because the whole idea was to kind of, you know, let the viewer know, like, hey, your heroes, you know, may not be, you know, like your heroes. They may do things that you wouldn't think a hero would do. So I remember going over the plot with Matt, because first of all, I want to shout out Matt here, because when we were talking about, like, you know, like how we got into brick filming and all that, he said he's not really into story, but he's all into action. Well, I'm not really that great and that into the action, but I love dialogue. So when I have him do my CGI and my effects, like, it really comes together to make one nice project. Now, I did the lasers for Theta Squad, but he did the CGI and added some sound effects. But whenever we get together to work on a project, like, it really becomes something bigger than myself, where I release it. But I wanted to continue to explore the darker side of the Republic, because we all know, if you're a Star Wars nerd, that like the Jedi justified all of their, means through their code, and it may not have been right, but that's how they justified it. So I wanted to kind of like put that in the view of like, okay, these are the soldiers of the Republic, given essentially free will. And the little plot twist that I put in is like, okay, spoiler alert in case you haven't seen it, but the fourth member of Theta Squad is actually a Jedi Knight, by the name of Chir Madani. I wanted to have a Jedi in there, kind of like a gray Jedi, because again, if you follow Star Wars just beyond the normal mainstream stuff, gray Jedi were a thing way back when. So I wanted to incorporate that as well. But everyone always comments like, "Oh my gosh, this film is so dark and evil," and I'm like, well, yeah. War is ugly. There's a lot of things that go wrong in war. History is told by the victors, right? It's never written by the losers. So I wanted to, like I said, walk that fine line. I think even Matt, were we going back and forth of like, should I add the baby crying in the background? Will this really sell that like war is going on and civilians are dying?
Yeah, like it was extremely dramatic for a Brick film.
But anyway, yeah, definitely my favorite. I am working on the second one. Awesome. It'll be after this 501st film, or if I get bored of the 501st film, I might just go back to Theta Squad. But I can't. I've already paid Matt to do stuff for 501st, so I'm gonna finish it.
Cool.
Just be careful about setting deadlines. We've all learned this lesson.
Please use my work. I beg of you.
Well, definitely Theta Squad. It had a wonderful mix of stop motion and CGI, and even digital effects like the rain coming down in the streets. I really loved at one point at the beginning. I think when the ships are flying over, a shadow goes over the actual stop motion figures, and I thought that was really cool lighting effect.
And good voice acting. Of course, I had with Zach Macias and Gareth Pugh. I always smile when I hear Gareth's voice because he's a longtime dear friend. So so it always makes me smile when I hear his voice.
Did Zach act as a story consultant as well?
Yeah, Zach was a story consultant. He pretty much helps with most of the story stuff that I do whenever he has time. And going since you mentioned Gareth, like. And Jared did as well. So I watched him growing up a lot, and I wanted to be in Squad 42. So like I remember messaging him back when you could still like direct message people on YouTube, and I was like, "Let me be in Squad 42." And he was in like this like elite group of people that I wanted to hang out with. So fast forward 8 years or 9 years, we're working together to make a project together, which is a totally a dream come true. He's Commander Edge. He also voiced in my latest film, Hunter, because it's like a prequel to the next Theta Squad film. So he's been a huge part in it, and hopefully I can get Zach to voice in this one as well. But you mentioned the shadow of the figure, so that was last minute. Because I watched him at CGI. I'm like, okay, they're looking up at ships. There should be a shadow. So that shadow is actually just my hand going very slowly towards the figure.
Nice.
It's literally just my hand, and then I was using the Dragon Frame remote to take the frames. So I was constantly trying to figure out, okay, I can't have my hand move too fast. I literally had my friend at the time hold my arm up because I'm like, bro, we can't get this messed up. Just hold my arm while I take this frame.
Bro.
Wow, that was a great trick. That's nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes those simple solutions work really great.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, gotta hand it to you.
We'll go over to Jared. This is Shinji, Asian Gunslinger, Lego Western. Really cool.
So it may be like a weird title, but it's like it was something I wanted to do for Brick Film Day. I think last year, if I remember correctly. I'm a big fan of westerns. I love Sergio Leone and the Man with No Name trilogy and other type of westerns like Gunsmoke and Bonanza. I'm just a huge western guy. So I really wanted to do a Western brick film for once, because you don't really see a whole lot of them these days, especially with that old Lego Western theme that was, back in the early 2000s. And I had a couple of those figures, and I really wanted to do a Western really badly. So I'm a quarter Japanese, so I heard about these, Japanese prisoners in the West Coast, digging for mines and gold and coal and stuff like that. So I really wanted to take one of those characters, implement my heritage, quote unquote. I'm like a quarter Japanese. It doesn't really matter. But I really wanted to take an Asian character and kind of put them in the forefront of the story, and have luckily an Asian voice actor, Star Wars Studio 100, who is not directly Japanese, but he is. I'm not sure what type of Asian he is. I can't remember exactly.
He's from Hong Kong, I believe.
I thought he was Hong Kong Chinese. Yeah.
I really wanted to have an Asian voice actor for in that role, and I think he fit perfectly.
He did.
Yeah, his voice fit.
And I was lucky enough to get Zach Macias and Sam, Chris, and Trevor to do little parts in it. And it was just a fun little brick film to do. I think it's probably my best looking film for sure. That was back when I used a DSLR before I sold it to Chris for better use for sure. But it's definitely one of my favorite experiences. It's definitely because of all time, because it seemed like every time I made a shot, I was really proud of it. No matter what shot it was, whether it was an insert or an exterior, it seemed like a lot of my work went into it. And it sounds very narcissistic, I guess, just to say all this stuff about me, but I'm really proud of it, and it's really one of my favorites to ever come onto my channel or to come out of my skills, really. And I don't know if I can live up to it ever again, honestly, because it had a great reaction with on Brick Film Day, and it really made me feel really good inside and warmed my heart a lot just to see a lot of the good reactions from the community. And it's definitely a moment that I'll never forget, just watching the YouTube premiere on Brick Film Day and seeing everybody in the live chat kind of being like, oh my God, that shot was awesome, or oh man, Zach is great at voice acting a Western fool for some reason. Even Chris as a bartender, who would have thought? It was just a fun experience, and I'm really glad it turned out to be better than what I expected going into the project.
Yeah, cool. It was awesome, and definitely awesome. It was a classic Western for sure. That was like the first thing I thought of when I saw it. It was, great voice acting, and you really did an amazing job, and you should be proud of that. And that's what it's all about.
A few of the things that stood out is I liked it when the gunslinger walks into the bar, and you could see like the bright sunlight from outside.
Yeah, the lighting when he walked in was
really
beautiful.
Cool. And then during the gunfight, just all the close-ups, just classic Western close-ups of faces like eyes or the hand about to pull the get the gun. Really awesome stuff.
Yeah, those are definitely all of my favorite shots, and it took a lot of preparation to go into it. So I'm glad it paid off very well.
Definitely.
Yeah, very good.
All right, we're gonna move on to Sam, Locker 74 Productions, with Detective Ace Brickman Episode 2: The Promises We Keep.
Okay, so I gotta think about this. So when I was in college, I did a trailer for a movie for my senior project, and I made posters and everything. And it's a project I've been wanting to do since I was in high school. I really like the whole detective aspect of things, like the noir element. And I actually got the idea for Ace Brickman while I was doing the school play in my high school. I only had like 3 or 4 lines, but I had to be there for the entire 3 hours. That's how I came up with the timeline for it. And so I went ahead and made it. And I passed my senior project. People loved it. It's still shown actually in my video production class by my professor to show that you don't need to be like an actor or a film professional to make a story. So that's something I kind of hold pretty close to my heart. But and then it was noticed. I don't remember if it was Austin or Jared that saw it first.
Austin saw it first. It was Austin first.
Okay. So it was mentioned on an episode of the Frame100 Podcast back in 2017. Or stuff happened. I graduated, la-di-da-di-da, and then I'm working on episode 3 right now, so that's the gist of the series. But episode 2, I wanted to kind of get more into like why he is the way he is, why he's a bit of a grouch, why he's just depressing. And you'll get more into that episode 3 wise. But I really also wanted to show the Rose Killer actually killing, because you don't see him in episode 1. Or he's mentioned, but he's never seen. So, I mean, I wanted to show Alice. I mean, I can't really talk about it without the whole series being there because I don't want to spoil things. But, I mean, it's probably one of my best films I've made. It's probably the best story.
Well, it has a wonderful story.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
If I'm not incorrect, I think you were the only one in the group, and I could be wrong, but I think you're the only one in this group that has actually won a category in the BRICKFILMER'S Guild Film Festival, and it won for the story.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that, actually. I thought I was going to get beat.
Yeah, and it was in serious running for cinematography. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous
yeah,
film.
definitely. The sets, the lighting. I love the rain. I think I have an obsession with rain. I always love those effects, and yours was especially beautiful. It looks so real. It's mind-blowing to me. But it was just really beautiful. And of course the voicing, there was a familiar voice in there too. I can't remember his name, but
I gotta hand it to Mr. Jared here for playing a really good FBI agent that is kind of a mean person. He does a good job at that.
Yeah,
it's not hard being a D-bag, you know. It comes natural.
So when you talk about cinematography, I guess I'll mention, actually, I had a guy from Hollywood help me with the lighting for my Ace Brickman. A couple of years ago, I think it was like right before I graduated, I had two guys from LA. They were doing a video about the Chisholm Trail here in Caldwell, and I got asked to help with it. And after about 3 weeks of filming with him, he gave me his phone number, and he's been taking pictures. He's like a photographer for like promotional pieces. So like he did one for, was it like The Dropout, and he's met a bunch of celebrities. He's like best friends with Dunn. I don't know, it's weird, but he's really into cinematography and light and stuff like that. So every time I have a question about lighting, he'll FaceTime me or Snapchat call me, and he'll help me kind of get the lighting figured out if I can't. I think that's a really nice tool to have in the back pocket. Showed my films to a couple of his friends. Grant Timahara that just passed away. Mm-hmm. He showed it to him and he liked it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's really nice to have that, you know, that tool with you. But I kind of try to do the lighting myself, and thanks to old Chris here, he's been helping me kind of get the light set for what character the mood's in, or what the character's mood is. So yeah, I mean, that's all I got. Cool. I'll have more to talk about when episode 3 comes out.
Cool.
We'll be excited to see that.
The music was awesome. I believe that was Xavier Sims.
Yes, I was going to mention that, and I completely forgot. Yes, X Sims does all of the soundtrack for it, and he does a truly fantastic job. And if anybody here is looking for a nice soundtrack for even a one-off, I would definitely recommend talking to him. He's super easy to work with. Just let him have his free reign, and he'll deliver you something truly great.
Yeah,
so what do you do? Send him a soundtrackless version of the film, and then he just adds music, or what do you do?
What I do is I do it scene by scene. So in Premiere, I'll make sequences. So like scene 1's a sequence, scene 2 is a sequence, that kind of thing. Whenever I'm done with that scene, I'll send it to him. All the audio, like all the sound editing's done and everything. I sent it to him and said, hey, can you get this done for me in like 3 weeks? He'll send me something within like 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's impressive. He's definitely done a lot and always a fantastic work.
Oh yeah, he's, like I said, I'd recommend him any day of the week. Weird expression, but yes, any day of the week I would.
Cool.
Recommend.
All right, so we will move on to Trevor, Suited Ninja Nerd Studios, and My Unlucky-ish Life, Episode 5, The Slippery Slope, which was a really fun video.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's the reason why I like it so much, is because of just how fun it is. But for those of you who don't know or haven't seen it, it's the 5th episode in my Unlucky-ish Life series, which recounts the events of Alex and Percy and all of Alex's misadventures and Percy's attempts to help him get through those. But in the episode, they end up going to a snowy hill and doing a lot of sledding, and things just go awry from there. I know, like with the episode, it was like I think another reason I like it so much is because it was a lot of firsts for me. Like, I had never done a film that was all just set to music. A lot of my films have been pretty heavily dialogue based. But there's only like 2 or 3 lines in the film total. So that was a big departure for me, to focus so heavily on, action and visuals. I got to do a lot of cool experimentation with like the lighting and the way that everything on screen moves, because there's a lot of like perspective related stuff. And I know going into it, I didn't really have like a massive plan for all of it. My onset goal was basically just, okay, I have a film, I want to animate it to classical music while Alex is, on this sled and just crashing a bunch. So I didn't have like a huge, like massively drawn out plan going into it ahead of time. I usually don't for most of my films, except for certain special cases. But I felt kind of free being able to just kind of think up ideas and then go ahead and just do them. And I think just the fun nature of that has really shown throughout the years, because I know like I have people that'll reach out to me and be like, wow, it's really polished, but it's also, it's really fun. So I think that's the reason why I like it.
Cool. So for me personally, and this just little side thing here, I do love how your intro and title are in Lego. I thought that's really cool.
I forget what made me decide to do that from the onset. I think it was just something where I liked that kind of unique personality right from the get-go. So I like to keep all my different like title card, intro cards unique. And I hope to do that as I make more.
That's cool. I also really love, because I grew up in Connecticut, which is where I'm originally from. So I grew up sledding with lots of snow. I loved all the different sleds. A lot of them brought back a lot of memories for me. And the imprints in the snow, just brilliant. I had so much fun watching that. I thought it was really great.
Yeah,
thank you.
You did a lot of great head replacement in that. He was constantly changing the faces. That was awesome. You mentioned it before, the perspective thing, when it was sledding and the mountains in the background, I think were either barely moving or not moving, but the trees in the foreground behind the characters sledding were just flying by, and I thought that was a really great effect. Let's see. The clarity of the pictures, your pictures pop. I don't know if it's your lighting or whatever, but they just... that was just a bright sunny day in a snow-filled day. It was just such clarity of your pictures, incredible. Other small thing that I kind of Kim mentioned the leaving the imprint after they fell into the snow. I thought that was cool.
Really cool.
And the little mini car doing the burnout with the I like that too.
Yeah.
One thing I am surprised though that you did not pick Torment. That's one of my favorite. Powerful films that you've made.
Yeah, I guess to talk on that for a second. I know like that was a really big passion project for me at the time. Because it was like drama. I feel like is something that's not done within Brick films a lot. At least not stuff that is centered around like very heavy public topic. But with that one, I like while it's reached out to probably a lot more people. Like I've had so many people that have reached out to me through it and been like, "Wow, like this is really powerful. Like I relate to this. Like I'm really happy that you decided to make this and share this message with people." But I know like I had a lot more plans that I wanted to do with that film that I feel like were ultimately just kind of rushed. Mm-hmm. And while I definitely think it's one of my more polished films, I don't know. Episode 5, I just love watching it. Like it's got a lot more rewatchability to it. I think
I can see that.
And it's so much fun.
Episode 5's fun and all, but Torment's a very powerful film. Did it win any awards?
I know. I actually submitted it to a local film festival that it actually won in an animation category.
Excellent.
Nice.
So yeah, other than that, it's I didn't really do a whole lot with submitting it to contests, but
okay, because I could see it, just because of its material theme and stuff, it could definitely have done well, and maybe still could. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Well, I loved the snow. I missed the snow terribly because we really don't get snow here, so it was, like I said, fun for me on so many levels to watch that. So great job. All right, so next we will move on to Marcus, BrickHat Studios. If Lego minifigures were self-aware.
As far as inspiration goes for if Lego minifigures were self-aware, I think the idea just randomly popped in my head after, like, when you're in bed at night and you're scrolling through Facebook memes and videos. I found a video where, like, it was a bunch of cartoon movies and old cartoon shows where they're, like, trying to break the fourth wall. Like, for example, I don't know which one it was, but it was a Disney character, and he was saying, like, you ever wonder why we wear gloves and all that? And so the idea just popped into my head where, like, what if I just did it with a Lego minifigure, and how would they interact with the animator?
Did you enjoy the process of making the video?
I did enjoy the process of making this with, like, my friends that helped me out. All those guys, Peter, Rudy, just gonna give them a quick shout out. Kelvin, they're great friends helping me out. Like, it was just randomly one day, I was like, yo, I need your guys' help with this video. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, so come with me. Yeah, and it was also pretty embarrassing wearing, like, a hat indoors. I don't know why I was doing that. I was young at the time. It was really weird. But what I've enjoyed about making that film was it's that, like, one panning scene with, like, the brick stuff lights and then the holes, because I really wanted to incorporate, like, the sort of like, bunker hideout place, but also at the same time, it's really weird that I enjoyed, like, all the mistakes in this video that I made. Like, there weren't a lot of, like, smooth motions, like ease in and ease out, and that's why I enjoyed watching it over and over, so that way I can, like, pick out on these things. I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that next time.
Excellent.
I don't think anybody notices the mistakes. I mean, you're going to notice them, whereas other people, especially ones that don't brick film like me, I didn't notice any.
So have you personally had any missing minifigures in your life where you just can't find them?
Actually, it happened recently. During VAC, I lost one of my, like... It's like my Elizabeth minifigure from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, I lost her head, and I was like, wait, where did her head go? Oh, no.
Well, I've got the similar problem. Many years ago, I lost Robin's head. Batman and Robin, Robin's head. And so I've got a minifigure of Robin, a real good classic one, probably. I think we bought it through Bricklink or something like that, but I lost its head because I don't know what I was doing, but... It must have fallen into a garbage can, but I swear, I think when we move out of this house one day, I'm going to find his head, 20 years from now, and we go, there's his head.
I want to mention on the video, I love, again, whether it's rain or water, the water pool scene. I love that. I always love those scenes. I just think they're, like, the coolest looking things. I love them. So that looked great. also, like I said, I also love it when people and brick and minifigures come together. I always enjoy that. I think that's really neat. There was a fog, smoke section. I'm afraid if I click on that, it might mess something up.
Don't
so I don't want to. Okay.
Sauna or something.
Yeah, that was a really cool effect.
Thank you. Cool. And funny note is that when I threw the minifigure in the trash can, I actually did not check the trash can first. I just legit threw it in there.
I was gonna ask, I was like, did you really throw that away? Did you get it out, or did you lay something on it first? But you did get it out, right?
Yeah, I did get it out, but I didn't check at first. Thank God there was nothing there. But
okay. I was envisioning
nasty stuff.
Something nasty like a milkshake.
Or worse.
Right?
Day-old milkshake with a banana peel.
Gross. Yes, the banana peel. I love it.
Yeah, that was funny.
All right, we'll move on.
All right, we will move on to Chris with Gold Brick Productions, Lego Ninjago, Prime Empire Panic.
This was your Brawl 2020 entry. You did this in a week, just a few weeks ago.
That is correct, yeah. Honestly, I think it's been one of my funnest projects this year. I think, hands down, the most chaotic and surprising one was Dude, but I feel like this Ninjago one was a close second.
Dude.
I feel like with any contest, it is kind of, well, it doesn't help to pick a licensed property, like in terms of the contest rules. You know, there's a lot of discussion there depending on the community you're in, but I think the one reason why I really love making this one Ninjago is because it really helped me to emphasize a different element of brick filming. So like I've played it pretty safe with a lot of other films, stuff I know that the brick film community is really looking forward to or really likes. And I appreciate the communities, supporting me as well. I've also wanted to try and see if I could get other people who aren't brick filmers to take an interest in the hobby, even if it's just, casual watching or just, seeing what other brick filmers are up to. And kind of roping the Ninjago community into this project was really awesome. I got a couple friends over in a server called The Marvelous Fam. They're a Ninjago-based podcast, and they like to chat a lot. They got a ton of different artists and voice actors and whatnot. And so I was able to recruit several artists and a couple voice actors and a couple people just to read over the script. And it really just kind of became a big, over that section, a community thing making this film. Plus, it's just a ton of fun to play around with some crazy lighting and generate, a whole bunch of 8-bit sound effects and just lose sanity and sleep over time. I also made a brawlumentary where I highlighted the process, and I think it's the ravings of a madman.
It was a lot of fun. I thought I liked how the items had disappearing and reappearing.
Well, yeah, he added some digital effects to it, so it almost sparkled when it would disappear.
And the cute, the kind of like a video game-ish feel to it. I thought it was really cute.
Thank you. There's a lot of times in the Prime Empire season of Ninjago, which was the last one that just aired, where they had things kind of spawning in and out and kind of creating this weird cube effect. Mm-hmm. I didn't nearly have time to do that sort of effect in my work, but I've had a couple people say, this kind of resembles the show, just enough. So I'm very happy about that.
Excellent.
Of course, the blue parrot in the green trash can was a funny.
It was a funny
joke,
line.
Yeah.
Poking fun
I
at that.
figured if I was taking a step back with an IP, I could take a step forward to the BIM joke.
Yeah, I know. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. So that was good. Nice little nod there.
Did you enjoy working on the flat tiles? Is that something you're used to doing?
A little bit. I did cheat a little bit. So amongst all the flat tiles, I have a couple places where I can easily prime apart with a brick separator and then put in a 2x2 tile with the singular stud on it. So usually my minifigures are just holding onto that one stud. It kind of limits the amount of movement I can do, but generally with dialogue, I don't really need them walking. I can just hinge them on that one stud, have them flailing their arms and swiveling around, and I can still make it look like it is on a tile surface, even if I just have that one little hidden cheat.
Yeah, I've been doing it a bunch lately, and cheating and not cheating, both ways. It does something for how the different locations you can put your minifigure in. You're not as limited by the stud telling you really want to be here, whereas it's just as long as you can get it balanced on the sticky tack, you're golden, and then there's just more opportunities to move your figure better. It's harder to move and you'll lose your place, but I also think it makes the pictures look better when you don't see all the studs on the ground. It makes it look more real. So I'm definitely into that as a technique, and you pulled it off really well. You did a really cool rack focus at one point, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I've done a little bit of that in the past. I probably shouldn't have for Brawl because the potential for things to go wrong was definitely there. But one thing I really don't like is lingering on a dialogue shot for more than about 5 seconds without doing something. Background movement, change the way the camera's running, some sort of background gag or something. I know. It really depends on how I feel the scene's going right about when I hit that 5 or 6 second mark on the same shot.
Yeah, change that camera angle or do something. I was in my most recent Galactic Smugglers. I think I was better at the beginning of doing that, and I got to one shot. I think I let it go a little too long, and I'm slapping myself for that. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, we do what we can.
Yeah.
All right, on to Matt with Bricktail Studios with Lego Republic at War 0 Hour, which has almost 850,000 views.
All right, well, actually, before we get into that, so I would say 0 Hour is definitely my best work as far as stop motion goes. But I also want to go back and give a shout out to Theta Squad, Great Republic, Austin's film again, because that has honestly my best work on the CGI side of things. Like, I still get chills when I watch that scene of the Republic fleet dropping out of hyperspace with, the Dutch camera angle tilt shot, and then, the other shot of the two fleets engaging one another, sync to the Destiny soundtrack. All of that was just fantastic. And if you want to see my best CGI, that's where to look for that.
I agree. It was beautiful work there.
Yeah. If only Austin knew what a turbo laser is supposed to sound like.
Bro,
I keep roasting
for
that because I'm doing this shot and I'm just picturing him doing, the sound effects, these big punchy turbo laser sound effects, these two fleets just, massive, ship of the line battle here. But it's still fantastic brick film. Anyways, back to 0 Hour here, though. So originally, the idea for this film was conceived as kind of a reboot of the series that kind of got me started on YouTube, which was Star Wars: The Clone Wars stories. And essentially, it was, again, no voice acting whatsoever, just basically telling stories through straight action. Like, I remember watching the 2003 2D animated Clone Wars series and just how much action there was, especially like in the first few episodes, the Battle of Munilitz, where just, again, you had all of these, troopers and battle droids firing at each other. Just thought that was fantastic, and I wanted to be able to do more brick films like that. Same thing, I've always been a huge fan of the video game Star Wars Empire at War, and that's actually where the name of the series comes from. Republic at War is actually the name of a total conversion mod for that game that basically converts it from the Galactic Civil War to the Clone Wars. And again, with a real-time strategy game like that, you have, just large-scale warfare, and that's kind of what I wanted to depict. But with 0 Hour, essentially I wanted to reboot the series, and so I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to start right back at the beginning of the Clone Wars, Phase 1 Clone Troopers, and we're going to start with Geonosis. And so I tried to recreate almost as much as I could of some of the shots from Attack of the Clones, especially the one with the Hailfire droids firing on the incoming gunships and whatnot. That was a really fun shot to take. But at the same time, I also wanted to do something that was a little bit more intimate with only a few figures, in the shot. And that's where the Republic Commando side of things comes in, because I'm like, all right, there's only really so much that I can do, on a massive scale before I just get tired of it. So I decided to do kind of a squad-based film and make it into that. And here's where the real challenge came in was I wanted to challenge myself to be as faithful to the Star Wars Republic Commando video game level as possible. And so this is where it really drove me nuts, because basically I had to pick from the first campaign mission, which was on Geonosis, what were some of the most iconic, engagements in the entire level, and how could I replicate that level geometry with, at that point, my Lego collection just wasn't really suited for that kind of thing, and I ended up just kind of going with British Brown 2x4 and 2x2 brick, and it worked out pretty nicely, honestly. But that was the real challenge there, was to faithfully recreate the geometry and the action sequences that were most iconic from the game. And, in the end, I'm just super happy with it. There was some stuff that I never would have, bet I could do. The zipline sequence where they jump down from the balcony above to a balcony below and then break in through the glass to the control room where Sun Fac, the Geonosian commander, is essentially waiting for them. That was all fantastic. The ending sequence there with the Geonosian fighter that he tries to escape on was great. And then, of course, because this is the start of the Clone Wars, I had to throw in that little end shot there of General Grievous's fighter taking off. And again, of course, he's going to take command of the Separatist forces and turn this war into a 3-year-long slog for control of the galaxy that's ultimately just, an act of puppeteering by, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine.
Mm. Yeah, I did take a note about the clones rappelling down. That was a really awesome scene there.
And I did with the flapping wings of the
Geonosian.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, you animated
that was really
well.
cool too. Another really fun shot was to animate the flying Geonosians, because that's what the Geonosians, characteristically do when you see them. They swoop down and they'll just grab a trooper and just take him off someplace. And you don't know what kind of horrors await that guy, but you don't want to be him.
Yeah. You did some really cool posing of the minifigure, the clones, when they were kneeling down. I think you did it on two occasions. I really love when I see that and it's done well, where it looks like they're really taking a knee. I thought that was really cool.
That was part of some of the refinements of my animation that I wanted to do. I didn't just want to do running and walking. I wanted to actually separate the arms from their actual joints a little bit, and use some of that sticky tack to actually make them a bit more dynamic. Like when they're throwing a grenade, or when Sev reconfigures his rifle at the end for the sniper configuration. That was another one of the fun things that I did to kind of refine my my animation and expand on my skill set, was to pop some of the joints out of the minifigure and see what else I could do, with the figures to make them look a little bit more dynamic and human-like. And some of that was, again, the going down on one knee to throw a grenade, when they're stacking up on the walls there outside the doors, where the Fixer, he snaps the neck of the Geonosian that's behind the door when it opens up and they see him there. That was really fun. When Sev reconfigures his DC-15M blaster rifle to the sniper configuration to shoot at the fighter that's flying away, that was really cool too. Just stuff like that really made the film for me.
Did you modify many of your droids' legs?
I did, actually, yeah. So I think it was only a total of 3 droids that I had the legs separated for, and I just kept reusing those over and over. But man,
how well do they hold together after you cut them? Do they get real flimsy?
So it's weird. The regular battle droids, the tan ones, were just fine. I could still use those today for another brick film, and it's been 2 or 3 years. I can't even remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like forever. But man, that super battle droid, whatever. It's made of a different plastic than the other, Lego pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a beast to cut apart, and I don't know if I could possibly separate, another one, because those parts are known for breaking as it is, where the clip breaks and you can no longer use it for your figure.
Yeah.
So I had to be super duper careful, and fortunately everything worked out. But yeah, I think I'm the only guy out there who has a super battle droid, actually moving its legs in a brick film. So that was, again, just all the little innovations that I could do here and there to, add to, what otherwise might have been, a pretty, generic or just classic, if you will, Star Wars brick film.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't know my Star Wars terms, but there was a really cool vehicle, and it had a really big wheel, and it rode across, and I was like, oh wow, that looks really cool, but you can't see my picture, but it looked great.
That's the Hellfire droid, and yeah, those were super cool. Those were actually custom builds that I did specifically for that film, because Lego has a set version of that, but it's just way too small. It's out of scale. It didn't look right, when actually rolling past all of the battle droid figures, because it's actually somewhat of a recreation or a play on an actual shot from Attack of the Clones. But yeah, it's just a really fun, challenging thing to do, especially when it came to keying out the background and actually having, there be some sort of parallax effect with the background, because the camera was basically sliding, from the left side of the, scene to the right side to actually follow the vehicles themselves.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Well, I really, really enjoyed that film. I watched it a few years ago and then just yesterday or today again, and it holds up. I really enjoyed it.
So yeah, great job, guys, on all those.
Cool.
We definitely enjoyed rewatching them all yesterday. Now, are we gonna play that? We're gonna hear from Tom.
We're gonna hear from Tom.
SCORCH
See what
Bricks.
And his film.
Yeah, you don't have his film listed.
Yeah, what was his film?
What was his film?
Insert
film title here.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
pretty sure it's going to be Dead Space.
It's got to be Dead Space. That's.
Oh yes.
All right, let's see.
Let's see what he says.
Well, so this is an interesting one because I always go to this film, and I'm not quite sure why I go to this film, and it's the Lego Alien film I made back in it was, I think,
2015.
2015, thank you. Yeah, 5 years ago.
Has almost 21,000 views too, so nice.
Yeah, and I there's something about this film that so actually I didn't start using Dragon Frame until I think Dead Space might have been my first one, or my 8x8x8 entry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use Dragon Frame for quite a while, and I was didn't have a camera with a remote control, so I was pressing the shutter button, which obviously introduced a fair amount of camera shake. But I guess because the story in Lego Alien is, all the air getting sucked out of the spaceship and a lot of shaking going on anyway, is that sort of hid it in a way, and it worked quite well. But yeah, I just it was a really enjoyable film to make. It was really quick to make, and I just had a lot of fun making it.
Cool. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I was surprised he
Nice to
didn't
hear it
pick
wasn't
Dead Space either. And we spoke with him a little bit about that. So if anybody, this is an ad for anybody who wants to join the Patreon, Brick Filmers Guild, the full interview will be put on there, and eventually just for them. Eventually, we might stick it on YouTube, but for now, it'll just go there. We'll move out of your favorite films. I kind of briefly want to go into something. This is sort of a Tom and Jared question, and it's really and I'm gonna swing it to Tom first, but it's about your Behind the Bricks podcast. Let's see what Tom says about that.
Yeah, I would like to. We actually had an idea for how we would do season 2, because I guess. I'm conscious, and I'm sort of speaking for me. I don't know about how Jared feels. That we covered. It was quite a nice, self-contained season. We sort of went through the whole process of making a film. So I think what we wanted to do for season 2 is do that sort of episode format of the half-an-hour episode, but get a guest on. Mm-hmm. For each episode and just chat to them. I guess similar to what you guys do, but maybe talk to them about how they do parts of the process and stuff. Maybe actually go through the same sort of order, and so we'll get someone to talk to us about how they do scripting, because we think they're really good at writing script, and maybe we do a CGI episode and we get someone like Matt on, and that sort of thing.
Do you have anything more to add to that? Do you think there will be a season 2, Jared?
It's so weird hearing Tom talk about this, because like we talked about this I think like a couple of years ago, but like hearing him talk about it now is so freaky to me. But I think so. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it in a while. We've been like both of us are individually very busy people, so it's kind of hard to make out a time during the day to record a couple of podcasts. I'm ahead with him, especially being 6 hours ahead. But I would hope there would be a season 2 in the future. I really like that Behind the Bricks was like a self-contained, one season kind of like one-off kind of thing. And it did perform really well. I think, according to a lot of people in the community, I think it would be awesome to, get like a guest on each episode and discuss a certain topic that revolves around their skill set, like Matt with CGI or, whoever else. So I think it would be a wonderful idea in the future. I don't know how we can do it. We'll figure it out. I'm not sure when it will be. Maybe next year if this pandemic kind of works out for us in the end. But we'll see. I think it may have a promising future for the Behind the Bricks podcast.
Cool. All right, so here's a question for you guys. What is your brick filming superpower? Where do each one of you excel? Of course, we're going to know the answer to some, but what do you think?
For me, I'm split. It's either just the raw animation and cinematography myself. Like, there's some stuff, I think 2 years ago, I even sent this to Jared. It was some of the Theta Squad 2 stuff that I was working on. Some of my best work I think I've done as far as, like, cinematography. But it's either that or, like, dark lighting. Because the entire, like, Theta Squad film was dark. But people actually don't know how hard it is to light, like, a dark film throughout the entire, like, duration. I can't just put in lamps and, like, get softboxes and call it a day. So I would say my superpower probably would be like the dark lighting, or we all know I'm very critical of the walk cycle, so I'm proud of those.
Well, I love your lighting for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt? I'm assuming you're going to say CGI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with that because that's something certainly unique about me. It's not something that every brick filmer does. I've actually been told by a lot of people that some people, they say that, like, I could never do that because my brain just can't comprehend 3D space on a 2D screen. And, I've always found that interesting. And maybe it's just because I had, been, someone who played video games for so long before actually getting into, CG animation. And so it just kind of came naturally to me, navigating 3D space on a computer. But I'm always trying to improve that craft. I'm actually really looking forward to Blender 2.90 that should be coming out in August, because that should finally unlock the door to doing some more cool procedural stuff with particle effects. So if you go back to Assault on Mechas 3 was a brick film that I did, and you see these Venator Star Destroyers shooting all of these lasers. Those were all particle effects done actually, within Blender itself as opposed to a separate VFX program. Something like that, again, that's how you create a truly, massive scale battle, is through procedurally generated stuff. When you see, in movies where there's, ancient warfare style battle where you just have this huge mobs of people that are basically armies just clashing with one another. That's usually all procedurally done with CGI. And again, how you get a sense of scale is by, doing that. You don't need actors for it. But I also want to touch on something else, and I think this is kind of cool. People always ask me all the time to voice act in their brick films, and I always like that because the one thing that I feel like I'm good at is impressions. Like, obviously, one of my favorite characters, I think probably the favorite character that I've voiced so far, was Officer Rennick in the Theta Squad franchise, I guess, because he was also featured in Austin's brick film Hunter, and he's just such a fun character to act in. Essentially, he's a very Grand Moff Tarkin-esque character with a similar accent to him, or manner of speaking, and it's fun to just try to do different accents and whatnot, and just be able to play different parts. The same way that like D. Bradley Baker does. He can voice literally anything. He voiced the Gravemind from the Halo franchise. He voiced all of the clones in in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He's been in virtually every animated TV show you can possibly think of.
Well, that's cool. We'll have to keep you in mind then for future voice acting roles.
Yeah, and that's just the fun, is seeing what new impressions I can do.
Excellent.
Because it's just one of those weird things where it just comes naturally to me.
Wow, I wish it came naturally to us, but it does not.
I give all the glory to God there. I had no hand in that.
There you go.
Well, I guess he gave it all to you. He did not share with us, but that's okay. That is okay. All right, Chris, what's your superpower?
Well, first off, Matt, I just realized I think you're the one Frame100 member that I have not had in a Bob and Randy episode, so we will be talking.
Really? Okay, we got to fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my superpower is probably writing. I feel like half the stuff I make would not land unless, I took the time to write it. It's also the part of my brick filming regimen that requires the most caffeine, so I think it lines up quite nicely. But I have a lot of fun with writing stuff. I feel like it gives me a general sense of where I want the dialogue and story to go. It's gotten to the point where I feel like I just hit some lines really well, and I got friends in the servers who constantly keep quoting certain elements of my films. I can't tell you how many times since the Ninjago film I've heard "rare blue parrot in a green trash can" on Discords.
Nice.
I got to mention this one because I do a lot of it. I think voice acting is kind of a side one. For me, it relies a lot off of my writing in order to sell it. But I've had a lot of fun just voicing other people's films. I've got a big playlist on my YouTube channel of films that I have voiced in, and I really quite enjoy that. So I think generally for what I can try and contribute to the community, because I definitely want to pay it forward, I think voice acting. But I think the part that I'm most comfortable with, where I actually feel powerful, is the writing.
Excellent.
Cool. All right, Jared, you're up.
I think it's kind of split between writing and editing. I really love to write, and there's so many unfinished scripts in my Google Drive that I've yet to animate, because animating is just a hassle for me. It's just, I guess it's fun for other people, but for me, it's just like, I have to do this for another 2 hours. Great. So there's a lot of unfinished scripts in my computer for sure. But I would also say editing is also split with that, because it's just fun to see the final product be realized for once in the process of filmmaking. It's just awesome to see it finally come out to what you imagined going into the project. I guess since I do it for a day job, I guess I'm used to being an editor, and I just love to edit other people's stuff too. Because recently I did Sam's quarantine days entry, like a little trailer for Zach's thing, and it was just fun to make something out of somebody else's animation. It was just a fun process for me to do, and doing sound design, all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely say it's split between writing and editing.
Do you enjoy the video editing or the audio editing more?
Oh, video for sure.
Okay.
Audio is not bad. I like doing sound design, but I hate editing voice clips, like adding EQs and compressing and all that. It's just, I was talking to Trevor about this last night. It's just a pain in the butt for me, and I do not like it whatsoever. But I love to sound design scenes and adding different sounds that don't go in scenes per se, but they make a certain sound come to life. And I think it's fun for me to make that dream kind of realized and make those scenes come alive.
I definitely agree with you on the voices, and you will thank me that I do not send all of my takes when I do voice act for someone, because I'm like the queen of 1,000 takes, and it takes me, I literally have to go through 3 rounds of editing, and then I start picking out the ones that I think are the best and only send you the ones that I don't hate. So
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and I will get you your lines in the next week. My voice hasn't quite been right, but I should be good in the next couple of days. And
thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, Trevor, you're up.
So I very much agree with what Jared just said when it comes to sound design, sound editing, all that stuff. I love sound. It's fairly ironic considering that I'm actually half deaf, so I can't hear out of my left ear. But I think because of that, it makes me have that much more of an appreciation for sound design. So I love just playing around with sounds and tweaking all the sound design I do in my film. But I guess if I were to pick something that I really think I excel at, it would probably just be the animation. The weird thing about that is I know when I started animating, I was a fairly impatient person at that time. So to see that I have the skill to be able to sit down for, I think I just recently did a shot that took me like 7 hours.
Wow.
That I like had to take. It was the first time I like had to take a break in the middle of the shot because it was that long.
How many seconds was your shot?
Maybe like 10.
Okay, so 7 hours for 10 seconds.
Yeah, like it was ridiculous how long it took for me to do, but yeah, it was like I feel like animation is where I really excel because I do take my time with it. I'm very much a perfectionist, and so when it comes to the animation, you know, I'll go and I'll watch a scene or like a shot that I did like from a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, and realize, oh my god, I need to reshoot that. It looks so bad. So it's like I have to just get into that mindset of being like, okay, you just got to keep pushing forward and keep animating as opposed to going back and trying to fix things. So yeah, animation. I love animating.
Cool.
All right, Sam, what's your superpower?
So I really didn't think I had one for a while. I kind of don't, but I guess if I have to, I guess cinematography. I guess.
Oh yeah, cinematography and lighting for sure.
Yep.
And I just like the way that it looks whenever I get done with it. And I always look like my inspiration for my cinematography is probably Blade Runner, those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And even even the second one's even better. You haven't seen that one, so. And then Skyfall's a good inspiration because it's kind of got a lot of lighting I use for Ace Brickman. It's, I guess, photography and themes, I guess.
And story writing.
Story writing,
definitely
for sure.
Story writing.
That's partly with the help of Jared and Chris. They kind of look over my scripts to make sure it all makes sense.
Gotta have good editors.
It's really funny because they like to say, because whenever I get my idea for stories, I walk around my house and say them in my head, each character, and then I write it down. And every once in a while, it makes sense in my head when I walk around my house, but whenever I write it down, I'm like, wow, this doesn't sound nearly as good as I thought. I have to have them look at it. I guess cinematography would definitely be my number one, writing number two.
Yeah, excellent. I definitely agree. Cool. All right, Marcus, how about you?
For me, I would like to say editing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I don't like editing. I like stuff.
I love editing. It's like one of the things I want to do in my life as a career path.
Wow.
Because it's so weird. Like because I haven't done a brick film in a while besides Stack, but like I've been editing a lot of like live action stuff, like a lot of student films, and the two process is so weird. Because like I guess it's because like you already know what you want in like a brick film, you already have it in your head, but in editing or not in editing, but in like a student film or live action, it's totally different.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I also want to add, since voice acting has come into play here, we added a while back a voice acting section on our in our Discord room because so many people always are looking for voice actors, and we just thought that was a great place for people to offer their services. I think Trevor, you were nice enough to do that.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
for
really
people
want
that are
to
looking,
do more.
So
that reminds me, I need to post my reel there sometime. That way people have an idea of what I sound like.
Yeah, no, I mean
you have an idea of what I sound like?
It's helpful. I mean, it's good for people who either want a voice for other people, which is awesome. I always try to tag the people when somebody's looking, or when you're looking for somebody. So very helpful, and thank y'all for helping out with that.
You ever need the Dr. Scar voice? I got your back.
Is Austin the only one with the Patreon supporter page? Do any of you guys have one besides him?
No.
Oh, I forgot my Patreon exists.
You do have one. So if anybody does want to support,
I got an email about it a couple weeks ago. I was like, wait, oh god, I have a Patreon. That's right. Actually, it's funny that you brought that up. I plan on working on that again at some point because it's the only way that I can probably do more things later. But a couple months down the road, but it's coming.
All right. Well, if anybody is wanting to find that Patreon page on the members page of the BRICKFILMER'S Guild, if it has a little money bag by the studio name, click on that bag, a little money bag, and it'll take you to the Patreon page so you can support your favorite brick filmers. Yeah, so we're trying to send some people your way.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
No worries. Because of time, I mean, we could probably go into a lot of things, but I think I want to allow this to really...
here comes the Star Wars Geek Session. Geek Sesh!
Let it degrade into something real...
Live long and prosper. Yeah, Jared told me
to. So let's just, we've talked about brick filming a bit. Let's, but Star Wars has inspired, us, me for a lot longer than you guys, but it's been an inspiration in our lives and our videos we've made. Do you guys have a favorite trilogy? Let's start there.
For me, it would have to be the prequel trilogy.
Okay, clones, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I'm an original man. I mean, my favorite film comes out of the sequel trilogy, but as a whole, I'm just not a fan of it as a whole. But I'm an original guy. I love the first Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back with all my heart. It inspired me to this day to continue loving film and keep getting better and just kind of embrace, new technology and just getting better at my craft. So I think the original trilogy for me is kind of the one that lands harder than the rest.
Ditto.
I'm in the same boat. I love the original trilogy. I think it's easy to get jaded these days just with the way the internet discusses things. But one recent addition that I love beyond compare is The Mandalorian. I know it doesn't fit into a trilogy per se, but I think it's the first time I've actually really gotten legitimately excited about a Star Wars story of any kind since the original trilogy. So I gotta point that one out.
Oh, we've totally enjoyed watching that, and I love our little baby Yoda Max.
Well, that's really what I envisioned Star Wars. I envisioned Star Wars was going to do in 1984, was going to be going in the direction of Mandalorian, and then it just disappeared for 10, 15 years, and they went prequel on us, which I like the prequels, so I can't complain there. Although the first one could have been shortened by about 20 minutes and been a better movie.
That is true. Actually, a quick little note, because I've been thinking about this. Maybe I'll just say it now so if Matt and Austin are aware and they can course correct me. Mandalorian is so good, I'm thinking of actually doing a serious Star Wars brick film.
Let's go.
That's the impact it's had.
Let's go. You have our full support and any money you need.
Whoa.
Cool. I'm
kidding. Hey, Austin, I'll take a couple bucks, bro.
Are you doing a Mandalorian series?
I don't know if it'd be Mandalorian. I don't know what it would be, but it would certainly be in the style of that small scale intensity, I guess.
Nah, sick. Looking forward to it, bro.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. You two will certainly be in contact, I'm sure.
Or we'll lose our jobs.
Leave off on. Trevor, did you say anything about this? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fairly casual Star Wars fan. Like, with the sequel trilogy, I went and saw them all in theaters because all the others were before my time. Of all the films, my favorite is Rogue One. I'm an outlier in liking the spin-off. But God. But if I had to pick a trilogy, it would be the original, just because the original it was so groundbreaking for filmmaking.
It still holds its own.
The technology that they developed for it, and the way that they were able to create, such legacy for the series. Because it's a film series that everybody knows. The way it was able to create that foundation is really, really interesting, and something that I myself would hope to create in the future, although that's highly unlikely.
Yeah. Well, I think the guy that makes the regular show, I think J.G. Quintel, he started off working on Clone Wars back in when he first got out of film school. He worked on that for a few years before he landed his gig doing regular show.
And I know now he's doing that HBO show too. Yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, he actually started out filming some things with Lego. It wasn't stop motion, it was just, but he did, it was probably when he was like 12. But he originally did some Lego films. Anyway, back on, let's see, what we got? Sam, what's your opinion?
My favorite trilogy is probably the OG, but my favorite Star Wars movie has got to be Rise of Skywalker.
Oh my god!
I hate you so much.
Oh my god!
The deed is done.
Oh, poor Sam.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're kidding.
Favorite,
Okay, good.
My favorite is probably when it comes to Star Wars, I'm pretty basic. Either Empire or Revenge of the Sith. But when it gets into like other George Lucas inspired stuff, like Indiana Jones, I get more controversial. But
Indiana Jones is where it's at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think episodes 3, 4, and 5 are my favorite.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
This is why Austin and I are friends.
That's a
Didn't
funny
mean to
way
get
to
us on a
pronounce
tangent.
Last
Oh
Crusade.
god, what have I done?
This is on you, Sam. You're fired.
I know. I gotta say, probably Empire is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Then the OG's probably my favorite trilogy, but I don't know. I can't. I'm with Jared. I can't get behind the sequel trilogy. I want to say probably Last Jedi is probably the best of the trilogy, but other than that, I don't get too. I don't really get excited about the prequels either.
I think I know we talked about it in the Discord a couple of days, prior to recording this. So I'll keep it as vague as possible. But I think why this whole Star Wars issue is so sore for a lot of people. I think I can just speak for Matt here. We all love Star Wars, right? It's that fantasy sci-fi world that we go to when we're tired of how expensive our grocery bill is, right? We go into Star Wars, we just do that, right? And so when the current heads of the franchise, they kind of took it in a way let's bring real life into this fantasy world, and I think that's what took me out of it personally. If I wanted to see real life related things in a movie, I would just stay in real life. I wouldn't go and pretend that I'm a clone trooper in the 501st.
Well, it's kind of ironic. What they did is they've tried to make it more realistic on one level, but they're trying to take the violence of war out of it too. They're trying to make a Star Wars without a war. It's it's Star Wars.
It's just stars at that point.
It's just stars. Yeah.
It always cracks me up how with all their new animated stuff, including the more recent Clone Wars episodes, is that nobody can get skewered with a lightsaber, even though Phantom Menace, a franchise they bought, guy gets cut in half.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is they've got all this. They don't want to show that, but if you were to sit there with a clicker and count the instances in which people do die and get killed in these cartoons, it's up there with just the movies. It's just they're not showing the hardcore gore of someone getting cut in half, but every time a ship blows up with someone on it, they're probably dead. Sometimes they'll show it where they're not, but it's war.
As far as bladed weapons go, a lightsaber is pretty much the cleanest it gets.
Yeah, because it cauterizes. But, I think that's what made the Clone Wars so special for people like me and Matt. I can't speak about anyone else, but, we were always, okay, we want to see the war. We want to see the actual stuff. And if you go from seasons 4 up until the Lost Missions, you get the war in the most grittiest form, and I'm so glad that they were able to release that before Disney bought them, because since then, even with Rebels, that's why I do not like Rebels to this day. It should have been grittier. That was arguably one of the grittiest times in Star Wars history, was the Rebellion and the Galactic Civil War. But anyway, that's my two.
Let's hold there
cents
real
on
quick, because we're going to go back into that, but let me quickly go back to Marcus. Did you have a favorite sequence or trilogy?
My favorite trilogy would be the sequels, 1, 2, 3.
The prequels.
Oh, the prequels. Yeah, prequels. Sorry about that. Not sequels.
A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
Yeah. But in terms of favorite film, I'm just gonna pick one from each generation. Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, and The Last Jedi.
Oh, Return of the Jedi. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I have to. I fight between. Do I like episode 4 or 5 the most? It's hard choice to make there. So back to the entire franchise. We're talking everything, including.
Wait, did you get my take?
Oh, did I miss you, Matt? I apologize, Matt.
Yeah, not that it should come as a surprise to anybody.
I apologize.
But obviously, I've always been a prequel guy. I always will be. And I'll be the first to admit that George Lucas is far from the greatest director or scriptwriter, and that really shows in the prequels. But that's not why they like him. Why I like him is because what George is great at is creating a universe. And that's part of what he created the prequels to do, was to expand upon this universe that he created. And I think one of the most clear examples of that is the Order 66 scene in Revenge of the Sith, because that was not cheap. Because he had to go through and tell his ILM team to create all of these different planets that had never been seen before, that had unique environments to just show the size and scope of this galaxy. And Clone Wars took that even a step further, and it shows you all of these new places, locations. It expounds upon the politics, the actual Clone War itself. And what I love about it is that it creates kind of this playground that as a creator you can play in, where you can write your own stories that fit neatly into canon and that don't, intersect or interrupt or, get bothered by anything. They just, fit nicely in there, and it just works. I don't really find that it's that true with the original trilogy as much. Still is to some degree, and I think that expanded universe games that like Empire at War really actually helped that, and actually got me more into that era and made me love the original trilogy more. The sequels, they just don't do that. The way they compress the timeline is just unbelievable. I don't know where in that you can actually tell your own story. I mean, if you're at Lucasfilm, like writing a book or something like that, where do you put that? It's got to be tough. So I like the part of Star Wars that is the universe, that is the lore, that is the rules that define this universe, so that you can tell your own stories within it that makes sense.
I'd like to piggyback on the tell your own story quickly. I think one thing that people don't recognize a lot about the prequel trilogy, and you'll probably agree with me on this, Matt, the prequel trilogy is a classical tragedy, as opposed to like the original 3 movies, which are just kind of an upbeat, space adventure. Everything turns out great in the end. So for it to suddenly take a route where it's all going to end really horribly because it has to, and still trying to maintain a story there, I'm sure there's a lot of hang-ups there. We mentioned Lucas wasn't the best at writing, dialogue and whatnot, but there's certainly the elements there of a really great tragedy that resonates with a lot of people, that allows for the build-up of the original trilogy to be so great.
The overarching story arc is brilliant. I love how, again, I think my favorite character, in Star Wars has to be, Darth Sidious, Palpatine, because, again, he's just this guy playing the long game this entire time, playing two sides against each other unwittingly. So,
plus, what's Yoda's line? Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Well, the first episode is talking about Anakin's fear of leaving everything behind. That turns into his pain in the second episode as he's torn between Padme and his mother, which leads to complete hatred in the third movie, which explains the whole suffering of the entire original trilogy. That's pretty darn poetic.
Yeah, there was some thought that went into the prequels, whereas I think it was such a rush job on the sequels that they did a lot of things that were fun and wonderful, but they screwed the pooch pretty bad.
Yeah. I think if they had sat down and made the movies like all in one go, at least the scripts, it would have been fun. I've heard it said that The Rise of Skywalker feels like it was the first movie written and directed by committee.
Yeah, it had its good points, but definitely Last Jedi is by far the best of the sequels, and I didn't like it the first time. But after I watched it the second time, I was like, this movie's got some heart, whereas the other two, the Abrams ones, they were weak. I still enjoyed them. It's Star Wars, but they were weak. We'll see what Tom says about that.
I'm born in 1996. I remember, so the first Lego set I ever got was the 1999 Anakin Starfighter from Phantom Menace, so the prequels. I grew up on those things. I remember my dad taking me to see them at the cinema. I absolutely love the prequels. As I've got older and started making films of my own, I appreciate the originals for a multitude of reasons, for all the breakthroughs they made in CGI and stuff, and the fact that I think they still stand up. They do still stand up as fantastic films, even today with the crazy CGI we've got going on now. So I love the prequels, love the originals. I got that love later in life, but I love them all the same. And the sequels, I still really enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit guilty of, as a Star Wars fan, if they were to just put White Noise up, I would still think it was a great Star Wars film. But there are some parts of the sequel trilogy that I look at as you get that, it's just fantastic. And I'm going on a bit here, but in 2015, when Episode 7 came out, I went to midnight release with my friends. I know in America, cheering in the cinema is, in some areas, I guess, quite a big thing, but we really don't do that in this country. But when the Star Wars crawl came up in the cinema, the whole crowd in the screen just erupted in cheers, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Wow,
that's cool.
Awesome.
It's fun to have those moments in the theater. But speaking of, I guess the sequel era, have you guys seen Resistance, the cartoon? I think it has two seasons on Disney Plus or whatever.
I have not.
That's out?
It's the one show that did not attract me from the get-go. Rebels was like that too, but then I immediately fell in love with it after I watched it in whole. Right. It's one of my favorite Star Wars content of all time. But Resistance never really caught my eye, for sure.
I thought I wasn't going to like it. It actually was really good, except for the main character, Kaz, is even more annoying than Jar Jar. I mean, he's bad.
Oh, no. How do you do that?
But he finally, I wish they would have continued it, because he finally started acting right the last episode. Because I think the last episode might have been 6 months later or something like that, but they did a really good job of it kind of surrounds episode 7 and then maybe just a hair after episode 8. It's actually decent, especially season 2. So it's worth a watch if you can get past Kaz.
Tom just shared a picture of my favorite chocolate, the Lion bars. Oh my gosh.
Is he able to say something?
Nah, he's out of it.
Oh, he's probably on his phone or something like that.
Yeah.
Making my mouth water.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
he's definitely with us in spirit right now.
Yeah, well, he knows.
Absolutely.
We talked about Lion bars and other yummy English chocolates when we talked to him. So, we think of each other with Lion bars.
I'm going to give him a very big hug the next time I find him IRL.
Yeah.
When I meet him, he is going to be getting the biggest hug of his whole dang life from this
Aww,
guy.
sweet.
that is sweet.
2021, let's make it happen.
It's going to happen, I swear.
It better. I'm sure he has some comments on Star Wars and all, so we'll have to poke fun at him when we all meet up. It should be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you all for taking the time to join us here, for getting up early. Some of you had to get up even earlier than we did, different time zones, so thank you so much. We really appreciate you going to the effort of having us all get together here.
It is no problem. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Like, literally been a on my bucket list, to be on your guys' podcast since you guys started that. So this is great for me personally. So thank you for having all of us.
It's a dream come true.
And I suspect
it's an honor.
I suspect
this
we'll
is a ton
see
of
some
fun.
of
It
y'all
felt like
again.
we all just meshed instantly, which is great.
Well, this was real fun.
Yeah, it was, and we knew it would be. You guys are a blast, and obviously we look forward to everything that you guys are doing. You guys have some great things coming up, and
keep brick filming and keep podcasting.
Yeah, definitely. It's appreciated by the whole community, so thank you.
And on behalf of the group here, I'd like to thank you guys especially for all you do with BRICKFILMER'S Guild. It's fantastic having, the site as a resource and the podcasts and the events. You guys have done so much for the BRICK film community. We have all benefited greatly. Thank you very much. We're blessed to have you guys around.
Well, thanks. We really appreciate that. So, all right. Well, you guys take care. Stay safe and healthy. Wear your masks.
Yeah.
You can't get to those hugs in person if you don't wear your mask. So really, stay safe, stay healthy.
I will find you.
And we'll see you on the other side of the Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.
Thanks so much to all of the Frame100 crew for spending so much time with us. And thanks to everyone who stuck with us through this entire podcast. Please check out our sponsors and partners on the BRICKFILMER'S Guild homepage. And don't forget to check out the Frame100 Podcast and all of the team members' amazing YouTube channels. All of their links will be written in the description under the video. We want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. Spuggastew, Frame5 Studios, Mind Game Studios, Dark Dragon Films, Forest Fire 101, Spencer Katz, Paganimation, William Osborne, and Sam Futhi. You guys really inspire us to keep creating more of these in-depth conversations with the world's great brick filmers. If you would like to sponsor one of our podcasts, please contact me through one of our social media sites. The sponsors we have are always brick film related and are products that we use ourselves and highly recommend. We would like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his wonderful music which we use for our podcasts and in our brick films. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or YouTube, please like or rate, comment, and share on your social media. We'd really appreciate that. So, until next time, bye y'all.